Welcome to the Answers in Reason podcast. If you're new to Answers in Reason, check us out at answersinreason.com or answers-in-reason.com. And what we do is quite literally what it says in the tin, try and find answers in reason, using logic and the scientific method. Today we've got a topic that some of us are quite passionate about. It is homeopathy, and not just homeopathy. Homeopathy in the veterinary service. That's right, homeopathic medicine for animals. With me today I actually have a vet. We shall call him Dr. Lord.
Hello.
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 Now, tell me, Dr. Lord, how did you become a vet?
Wow, such a long time ago now. So I wanted to do a clinical science-based subject, really. So either doctor, dentist, veterinary science. So did work experience in all three, and dentist just sat by the side while he was doing it, so couldn't see a thing. Doctors was basically just filing. It's all confidential, so I was just filing and very bored. Veterinary science, I went to the vets, I could handle the animals, I could help, I was right in the thick of things really, and immediately fell in love with the animals and fell in love with the job, and it was set from then really. I'm not one of these people where my whole life I wanted to be a vet, I want to help animals. No. I went through the channels, had a go at it, loved it.
No, fair enough. What did you think the thing you liked most about the animals was?
They don't talk back for one thing. No. It's certainly very rewarding. It's definitely a very rewarding job, I'd say. There are some times where it can be heartbreaking, but I'd say the good outweighs the bad, definitely.
And what did you actually have to go through to become a vet?
A lot of hard work, especially at the school time. People think it's more later on, but it really is the A-level time. You've got to really nail your A-levels. You've got to get the sciences, you've got to get A's in them. And then you've got to...
and what sciences were those that you actually had to get to qualify?
Well, I did biology and chemistry and German in my 3 A-levels. And I didn't actually realise that some of the universities you have to have biology, chemistry and either maths or physics.
Oh dear.
So I should have read that first, because I still applied. And I wonder why they rejected me straight away. But so I did biology, chemistry, German, and the university I went to, Liverpool, actually quite liked the fact I had a humanity as another subject.
Yeah.
They're looking for a more rounded individual nowadays. It's all about communication. They don't want these science people who just speak science and nothing else.
Do you deal with many German animals?
A few German breeds, yeah. And there's a few German clients actually as well. But no, I mean the German hasn't really come in handy if I'm being honest. But you've got to nail those 3 A's. You have to get 3 A's at A-level, and biology and chemistry are a must.
So once you've done your A-levels,
yep.
What do you then go on to do?
You have to do work experience. You're never going to get into veterinary school if you've done no work experience.
And is that before or after university?
Both.
Both? Definitely
before. You will not get a place unless you've done some work at farms, work at vets, work at kennel. I had to work in kennels, I had to do lambing, it's the works.
Oh wow.
A lot of it is just mucking out. And a lot of it you're just the dog's body, doing this, that and that. But you have to get the experience down before you... And that's in weekends, school holidays. A lot of your time is taken up.
So you've done all the work experience, so before, during and after university.
Yes.
How long were you at university?
5 years. That's the minimum.
5 years.
Yeah.
And tell me a little bit about your course, the things that you covered off on your course.
Well, firstly, getting into the course is a big, tricky one, because it's about... I think it's more now. I was the only one doing veterinary science in my school at the time. But there was about 200 people to a place.
Wow.
Now it's a lot higher than that. And some people had perfect straight A's, amazing personal statements, done loads of work experience, and they got rejected. And they don't know what the criteria are. Fortunately, I got accepted by one for an interview. All the others rejected me straight out. I've got no idea what their criteria are, but I got an interview at Liverpool and got in. So it's a lot of...
your award-winning personality.
Well, it must be that, yes. But I know some people who have been, brainy, done it all 3 years running, they've still been rejected all 3 years, and I don't know what they have to do, but I got through, one of the lucky ones, and had the interview, got in, started uni. Now it is a lot of work. It's 9 to 5 every day. When you're working out of classes as well, a lot of homework, and there's no time for school holidays. You have to do work experience.
Sort of in the sort of way that they do with the doctors as well. The first year or so is a lot of studying, and then in the holidays they expect you to sort of be like a porter and things like that in a hospital. And then after the first couple of years you end up actually having to do lots of stuff in a hospital. Is that sort of like how it was for...
It's similar, yeah, but unfortunately I had reasonably wealthy parents who could help me through it. But if you, and I've got a student loan at the time when I was doing it, it's $3,000 a year, and that's supposed to cover rent, all your expenses, just and tuition fees.
Doesn't.
But tuition fees when I did were £1,000 a year, so it's a lot different to now. But if you didn't have wealthy parents, I genuinely don't know how you can afford to get through vet school, because during the holidays you have to do work experience. So unless you can get a bursary or some help from the government, it's tricky. It really is tricky. But yeah, study hard, do your work experience, pass your exams, and you're there.
And what sort of practical applications did you have throughout? Were you actually working in a vet ever?
Yes. Oh, the first 3 years are called preclinical studies. So
Right.
It's all theory and lectures. You do some dissection classes and things like that, and handling animals and something like that. But the last 2 years, you're based in a veterinary hospital, and it's ours was on the Wirral, called Leahurst, and it's got a small animal hospital, an equine hospital, and a farm animal hospital in there. And you do your rotations there. For the 2 years, it's purely working in those hospitals.
Okay, so even before actually becoming a vet, you've done loads of work experience,
Yep.
you've done loads of studying,
Yes.
loads of exams, and you actually got hands-on in the vets.
Yes.
Now, obviously, technology and things like that, and science obviously continues to discover new things. What exactly do you do to stay on top of all of this stuff?
Well, we have to, but legally, the Royal College of Veterinary Surgeons say we have to do a minimum of 36 hours a year of CPD, continued professional development.
Right, yeah.
You have to as a minimum. Obviously, they'd like you to do a lot more.
And what does that actually contain?
10 hours of it actually can be just sole reading and research. So
Okay.
if you've got magazines or articles, you can actually have 10 hours a year of just sole reading. They prefer you not to do as much as possible, so you have to go to courses, lectures, seminars, a lot of congresses, so a lot of things to keep up to date. You have to.
I've actually heard you mention that you go to the lectures and things like that.
Yep.
There's been a few up in London and things
Yeah,
like that.
and Birmingham was the main one.
Yeah?
Yep, British Small Animal Veterinary Association. That one is.
And what sort of things do you do at one of these lectures? Is it someone just talking at you the entire time, or...?
Well, some of them are just lectures. There's workshops. There's practical workshops. There's all these. You get these keypads where it's almost like Who Wants to Be a Millionaire. You ask the audience. You put your answers in. There is a fair bit of drinking in the evenings as well. So
Excellent.
It's definitely a social thing. I'm sure
You're
some
save you
people,
to the next one. I'll be your date.
I'm sure some people go just for the nightlife. Really is. And Birmingham has definitely got a vibrant nightlife. Yes.
Drum and bass and veterinary.
Oh,
Excellent.
so it goes. Okay. They can drink. Vets can drink. They really can.
But not on duty, of course. So, what would you say the most recent technological advance or medical advance in the veterinary world has been?
There's a few new things coming along, which are we are miles behind the human world. We just really are. The human medicine world is far in advance. They've got obviously a lot more money in that area.
Well, yes, I suppose they prioritise our own survival
course.
over the things that we look after. And I suppose as well, we're one machine, whereas when you look at an animal, you have to learn so many different animals and put the money into all these different animals.
True.
Something that will work for a dog won't necessarily work for a cat.
True. There's also the demand as well. There's a massive more demand in the human medicine industry than...
I suppose there's more of us.
Well, that is true. Yeah. But that's another thing with vet school we do have to learn. It's cats, dogs, horses, cows, sheep. You've got all the small rodents and your rabbits. They're all different anatomy and physiology. Husbandry is all different. They're all different. So it does make it a bit more tricky in that respect to learn all that. But I suppose new developments, we're getting into elbows. We've been doing hip replacements for a long time. We're now doing elbow replacements, knee replacements. We're now getting into stem cell therapy as well.
Oh, fantastic.
Used for arthritis, using that a lot as well. So it's certainly getting there. Now we've got all these in inverted commas, celebs online on telly. I'm sure you've seen the Super Vets. Have you seen that on telly?
No, I
Not
haven't.
seen that. Noel Fielding.
Oh, right.
No, he's sorry. Noel Fitzpatrick.
Noel Fitzpatrick, I was going to say, on the moon.
A little bit different there.
Yeah, I couldn't imagine Noel Fielding doing anything veterinary-wise.
You never know. Right, Noel Fitzpatrick.
Right, okay.
He's called the super vet. It's a bit...
Why is he a super vet?
He does all these bionic...
Does he wear a cape?
Well, if he could, I'm sure he would. He's... you know what surgeons are like. They do love themselves a little bit. I mean, I do surgery, but I don't class myself.
And you do love yourself a bit as well.
That's Mitch. But he's an amazing surgeon. You can't deny that. But he's known as the bionic vet because he does bionic arms and legs. Legs for animals, obviously. He does bionic limbs, I should have said. Bionic limbs for pets. Okay?
Wow.
So they actually have metal prosthetics welded into their skeleton.
That's amazing.
So, yeah, that's how he became famous. He does lots of other extremely groundbreaking surgeries as well. For a fee, as you can imagine, quite a hefty fee.
Yeah.
But
you guys aren't cheap.
Well, yeah, that's for another topic. Another day, that one. But yeah, he is an amazing surgeon, and there's a few others. Vet on the Hill is another one online on telly. There's a lot of new veterinary shows. It's becoming quite a popular / famous profession now. It really is becoming up and coming profession.
Awesome. So basically, there's a lot of ongoing research that you have to do. There's a lot of developments that are constantly coming out. The science, I suppose you could say, is ever evolving, as it is in all areas of the world. Nothing's ever final.
Yeah.
And this leads us on to sort of our topic. Whilst technology is improving, obviously the medicine's got to be improving as well. And I assume that you vaccinate your animals?
We do, yes.
Yeah. And I suppose if they've got certain bacterial infections, you'll give them...
Antibiotics.
Yeah, there you go. Now, I have heard that you sometimes get issues with people coming in and thinking they might know better.
Oh, a lot. Yes, very common. Yeah, everyone thinks they know their pet best, which is fair enough. It's their pet. But
I suppose habit-wise, you might understand your pet better.
Yes.
But from a mechanical point of view, you are essentially the engineer of the animals, aren't you?
I suppose so. You could say that. Yeah.
You've got to understand what's under the bonnet.
Yep.
A little bit better than I do, or
Yes.
anyone else who hasn't spent that time studying. I'm sure there are things that you can find online that maybe wouldn't be your go-to and could be right, but in the grand scheme of things, someone came in with a pet that said it's got this leaky thing under his armpit.
Yes.
You'd know what that was.
This leaky thing.
Yes.
Yeah.
But what sort of troubles do you have with the patients that do think they know better?
Yes, it's amazing how many people actually pay for our advice and don't take it.
Really?
Well, they pay for our services and they listen to us and they decide to contradict it. So it always amazes me that how many people do that. But it's their dog, it's their choice. It's their money, what they want to do with it. But Dr. Google does come into this a lot, and a lot more recently. I mean, I've been a vet for 10 years now, and the last 5 years or so it's becoming much, much more common that people have looked online. I mean, I've had some clients when I was an emergency vet, and I discussed the condition or the symptoms with the owner, and I thought it was best if the pet came in, and she decided not. Maybe that was money-wise, I'm not sure why, but she decided not to do it. Mm-hmm. She wanted to monitor the dog, and then she called about half an hour later saying, "Oh, she just read this online. She thinks she needs to bring the dog in now." So it's a little bit insulting.
Well, at least she agreed with you eventually, though.
I suppose so, yes. But I mean, there are some websites which you can get some good information on. Mm-hmm. But there are also some spurious websites, and you've got to be very careful what is...
I suppose that's the same as when, reading sort of the NHS website or WebMD versus reading David Wolf's website.
That's a massive another topic to discuss.
Now, does David Wolf ever get into the animal world, or is he just messing with humans' minds?
I think he's just messing with humans' minds.
Okay.
But, oh God, if he ever does get involved in the veterinary world, we'd have many angry vets to deal with there, definitely. We're all scientists. Well, the majority of vets are scientists. There are still a few others which can practice things which are not scientifically grounded,
Like what sort of things?
which we're going to come on to soon, homeopathy. There's Reiki in animals as well.
Oh God!
Yeah.
So you get some people there trying to do energy healings.
Oh God, yeah.
They get the crystals all around them, and they put their hands out and go, "Oh, Kame." Oh no, that's
Sounds like you know a lot of it. We had a vet once called. I'm not sure I say her name actually. We once had a vet, a German vet, and she strapped. This is before I worked there. This is my colleague telling me what happened. She strapped a vial of some liquid to a cat's head and was swinging a pendulum in front of its head in order to banish this cat from its symptoms of disease at the time. I don't know the full details of it, but this is what my...
Did it work?
No, and she unfortunately wasn't with the practice for too long.
Yeah.
So there are still vets out there who practice things which were not taught. These practices, homeopathy is not taught at vet school.
Right, okay.
Okay.
I think that's probably a good thing.
Yes, but people still practice it. They're allowed to practice.
Are they allowed to? Why are they allowed to?
The Royal College of Veterinary Surgeons has deemed homeopathy acceptable to practice.
But didn't the NHS recently strike it off completely as complete hokum?
Yes.
Because it is.
Yes.
So...
the NHS has discredited homeopathy.
Okay, so the NHS has discredited homeopathy, even though technically for humans there is an element of benefit.
The only benefit in any studies with homeopathy has been the placebo effect.
Right, okay, so the placebo effect. I'll tell you what, tell me how homeopathy works.
Well, works is a stretch, but homeopathy is basically when a substance has been diluted with water, sterile water, until not a single molecule of that substance remains within the compound. So it's purely water in the end.
Right.
And there's a firm belief that water can have a memory and can remember the substance that was in that compound before it was diluted.
So essentially, when we drink water, we're drinking fish poo.
Well, essentially, yes.
Because it remembers that.
Yes.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. So I've had some people with diluted crushed ants and tarantula venom. I've had that before.
Fantastic.
And it's been diluted so many times until there's not a single molecule of that tarantula venom left in the water, administered to the patient in an attempt to cure, because that water supposedly has a memory, can remember that tarantula venom beforehand.
Right.
Now in humans, as we know with sugar pills, with the placebo effect, there is, if you know you're taking a substance, your mind can certainly feel better or have a beneficial effect because you know you're being treated.
And sometimes that can actually have a positive effect with you, and because you feel like you're going to get better, you actually are. The placebo effect can work for humans.
Yes.
Not necessarily if it's a very serious thing, but if you've got a headache and you think that this pill, whether it's a sugar pill or an aspirin, you take it, you think you're going to get better, you do.
Yes.
And in fact, it's probably the glass of water you had with the pill that actually helped because you're a bit dehydrated. But neither here nor there.
Yep.
The placebo effect, boom. So tell me, how does that work for animals?
It doesn't.
Okay. Because, I mean, if I give my dog anything, if I give him just some random pills, it'll just be, it'll spit them out, to be honest, unless I wrap it in raw chicken.
Yeah. He has no idea he's being treated.
No.
No idea what he's taking, so there is no placebo. I mean, the owner potentially could have a placebo effect, I suppose. The owner could think, oh, my dog's going to be getting better, and therefore acknowledges or wants to think the dog's getting better.
But how is that going to actually get the dog better?
It's not. No. And some people may have this... we have a big argument with vets and homeopathy, homeopathy vets, and there's a massive argument going on at the moment. And some people would say, well, we're not doing any harm. I understand. If you're giving water, I suppose you're not doing harm, but it could be to the detriment of the animal if you're not giving them conventional treatment.
I suppose if the animal has cancer and you've got some venom or whatever, or maybe small cancer cells that you've watered down to the point of nothing, by not treating that animal, surely that's doing harm to it.
Definitely.
Especially if you are selling that as the treatment. You know.
Yeah, and we are not taught this in vet school. I really don't understand how they get into this. I really don't understand that. And they're charging people for this. And if it is when they're not getting conventional therapy, it can really be a detriment to the animal's health.
Well, yeah, definitely. I mean, there isn't much that helps with cancer and some serious illnesses like that, is there?
Well, I mean, we do chemotherapy and radiotherapy, and I've cured animals from cancer before.
And I suppose sometimes it doesn't always work.
No,
just
of course
with
not.
humans.
No. But if you talk to some people who have undergone homeopathy, they'll say that animals got better. That's a massive argument to, in these forums that we have with the homeopathists. They say, we've cured this dog, we've cured that dog. That's not...
But then, I mean, I know in the human world there are sometimes miraculous recoveries that just sort of, the body has suddenly won against the cancer cells.
Was it the homeopathy, or would it have happened regardless in these patients? But that is not scientific evidence that this homeopathy has.
Oh, of course not. And with humans, it isn't always homeopathy. Sometimes it's healing, sometimes it's a prayer or whatever. But then with humans, we know with spiritual healings and things like that, there's actually, more often than not, someone's health degrades if they know they are being prayed for, and they don't recover as quickly, for example, as someone who doesn't know.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, there's a holistic medication is different. That's herbal medicine, Chinese medicine, acupuncture.
Is there any evidence for those?
Acupuncture there is actually, yes.
Yeah?
There has been some evidence of acupuncture. I suppose the difference is...
Is it particular conditions or... I mean, again, if let's go cancer. I mean, can acupuncture do anything?
I'm talking more in human medicine.
Okay.
I'm talking more in human. Whether that's a placebo effect again, I don't know. But
I must admit, I tried acupuncture a couple of times, and once was giving up smoking.
Right.
It didn't really help with my urges at all. I found lollipops more effective than acupuncture. Technically, I'm not smoking now, so you could say, well, I had acupuncture and I'm not. But realistically, I was still having the odd cigarette at that time. Right. It was much later down the line that giving up that did. And the other time was tennis elbow. And again, that didn't help.
No.
And what helped was the steroid injection. The thing is, I was seeing an osteopath at the time, and he was doing some massage therapy and ultrasound, and all of that had some grounding. But he wanted to do a bit of acupuncture on it, so I was like, do you know what? Let's give it a go.
Why not?
And I am like that with a lot of things. Even I will read the evidence, and even if there's nothing backing it up, I will give it a go because I get desperate. I've suffered with a lot of pain in my elbows and my back and things like that, and I am desperate to find something that isn't taking painkillers. So if I can find a different option that works, great, I'll give it a go. But I go in without the placebo, because I go in going, there's no evidence to back this up. So
open mind.
I want it to work, but I don't think it will.
Right. So I mean, there's some holistic medication I've seen does work. I've used some herbal medication in some animals, and I've had some good effect. I suppose with holistic medication, the underlying difference with homeopathy, I suppose, is the more you use, it's potentially the greater the effect.
Right.
Homeopathy is the opposite. The less there is of the product, the greater effect, which is doesn't
make sense.
It just goes against all my scientific knowledge and grounding.
Well, yeah, I suppose the whole point, for example, let's look at vaccines. The whole point of it is you get a little bit of the virus. Yeah. Sometimes they're live vaccines, sometimes they're not. But it's so that your body has enough of it there to learn how to make the antibodies to deal with it. Now, if we took that from a homeopathic route, they would dilute it to the point where it was just water. Yes. Essentially. Yeah. You see that, times 5 to the X millionth of whatever. So realistically, how's your body going to learn to find
There's no scientific grounding to that at all.
I've actually seen in some homeopathic medication Berlin Wall.
Oh yes.
Yeah. Bits of the Berlin Wall diluted.
Oh right.
Yeah.
Is that supposed to treat something?
Being German.
Oh right.
Oh yeah. Honestly, I've got no clue what it would help with, but.
Well, anti-vax, we do get a lot of owners who don't want to vaccinate animals.
So what do they do with their animals?
A lot of people firstly want to do a blood test to check if they need the vaccine first. You can check the antibody levels within the blood of your dog or cat,
Right.
and check if they need the vaccine. It's very expensive, and people are willing to pay for this money for it. And the majority do require the vaccines.
So more often than not, it's better to get it. I mean, what dangers? What have you ever had a dog or cat or any animal react poorly to a vaccine? You have.
Yes, very, very few. But yeah, I mean, I've been there for 10 years, and I'd probably get.
Have any died?
No, I've never had a died.
So you've never had one die. No. So what effects have happened from taking vaccines?
Allergic reactions, anaphylactic shock.
So an anaphylactic shock, right? Okay.
And we treat it. Is
that the same as humans?
Yep. Yeah, it's almost instant after the vaccine, and we treat it accordingly. And I've never had one die.
So is that the same sort of stab?
No.
No,
adrenaline.
It's not adrenaline. It's steroids for
a mild case. We give a steroid either into the vein. If it's too small, we go into the muscle. If it's a severe case, you've got to give adrenaline. Yes.
Okay.
But I've never had one severe enough to give adrenaline.
And have there been any ongoing negative effects? So say they've had the anaphylactic shock and then their temperament's changed.
No, never had that.
Never. So none of them have ever developed autism.
I've never actually seen autism in a dog before. No, and we tend to try different manufacturer of vaccine for the next time, because it's usually the adjuvants within the vaccine, not the actual viruses themselves. It's usually the other chemicals in it.
I think that's why with the flu vaccine they used to have egg in it, didn't they? And people having allergic reactions because some people are allergic to eggs, and they actually removed that element out of it, so that that's why James, he never used to get his flu vaccine because he was allergic to egg, and I think because there were so many people who actually had allergies to eggs, they removed that element out of it. So okay.
But I have seen animals die from diseases where they could have been vaccinated.
Right.
I have seen that before. Parvovirus is the main one.
So grand scheme of things, there has been anaphylactic shocks in the animals, but no deaths.
No.
There have been anaphylactic shocks. There have been no ongoing issues after said anaphylactic shock.
No.
What percentage of animals that you have treated? I mean, this is very anecdotal because this is not worldwide.
Yeah.
I'm not saying anyone should take this but this is just for you yourself. You've dealt with thousands of animals and vaccinations over the last 10 years.
Yes.
What are we looking? What are we saying?
Less than 1%.
Less than 1%.
Yes.
So what we're going to go at? Every 1,000 animals they have. 2,000.
I mean, I'd probably get one every other year, maybe a bit more than that. I mean, maybe.
And how many vaccinations do you reckon you do a year?
Oh, that's a difficult. I mean, at least 5 a day minimum.
So you do 5 vaccinations
a day. It's usually much more.
I know that you're in work about 6 days a week, aren't you?
Unfortunately,
yeah. So
that's minimum. We usually vaccinate.
So that's what? That's about 300 working days a year. So that's 1,500 animals.
A minimum.
So and one out of those in a year. Oh no, you said every other year. So that's 3,000.
Probably. I mean, it's a really difficult one to answer. That one.
Oh, of course.
Let's say one a year to make it easy.
Okay. So 1 in 1,500 animals.
So got an allergic reaction.
There you go. Okay, 1 in 1,500 animals has an allergic reaction, but it's quickly dealt with. There have been no deaths and no lasting effects. Yet, how many animals have you dealt with from the anti-vaxxer or homeopathic types that have had their animals die versus live?
That is a really difficult. I mean, we had a massive outbreak of rabbits dying of viral hemorrhagic disease, which is a preventable disease by vaccination. There's a huge outbreak in the summer where we got, I think, 20 to 30 died in the summer because of this vaccine. There's a big outbreak. Parvovirus is the main one in dogs. That's dysentery, hemorrhagic diarrhea, and there's a very, very slim chance they're going to get better with that, unless you get rapid, early aggressive treatment. And that is something we do see quite a lot of, and that's in usually kennel dogs, breeding dogs, certainly puppy farms, especially poor environments where they're not vaccinated. Fortunately, we're getting more and more people who are vaccinated dogs nowadays. It's getting better. And a lot of diseases have been eradicated because of vaccinations. Canine distemper virus, we never see that anymore. That used to be very popular before my time, really. and vaccinations have virtually eradicated that disease.
Oh, look at rabies. That's a big one. That's still quite prevalent in America, isn't it? But
other
over
countries,
here,
in other European countries as well. You have to have a rabies vaccine if you want to go to Europe for a dog. You've got to get a passport with a rabies vaccine. You have to do that if you want to take your dog to Europe.
Well, I think that's quite sensible, really.
As long as you bring your dog back. If you want to go to Europe and not bring your dog back, it's fine. If you want to bring your dog back into this country,
it's our requirement.
Our requirement. You can leave with your dog, no problems, but you cannot come back in the country without.
Well done, UK.
Yeah.
We've done something right.
Yeah.
It doesn't happen often, but we've done something right. Brilliant. Okay, so homeopathy.
Yes.
It works by placebo, as in it doesn't work at all. The only benefit in humans is placebo. So therefore, it doesn't work for animals at all. All it is essentially diluting stuff to the point where it's just water. So it's giving people water. It's not even sugar pills, because at least sugar pills you get a little bit of lift from the sugar.
Yep.
You're just getting water. We look at the vaccination side of things, and you do sometimes 1 in 1,500 roughly get a adverse event. You get a fit that could be caused by
anaphylaxis shot, their heart rate slows down, the blood pressure reduces, they basically collapse, they just flop to the floor.
So it's a little bit different to the way a human deals with an anaphylactic shock. We swell up and all of that
I suppose, I'm not sure. I suppose it is a bit different. Anaphylactic shock means the blood vessels are dilated, the heart rate reduces, your blood pressure massively drops, your brain doesn't get enough oxygen, you start feeling really weak and collapse. So I suppose you can get some dogs who get a bit lethargic for 24 hours after. Is that classed as a vaccine reaction? I suppose it is.
Well, it could be an adverse event in the same sense that, tiredness is a side effect of sleeping pills.
I suppose so. So, the main one is anaphylactic shock, but you could get a slightly lethargic dog for 24 hours, maybe a little swelling for 24 hours on the back there. Very minor ones like that as well, but the main one is an allergic anaphylactic.
Yeah, to be honest, sometimes when I've had vaccinations myself, I've been quite ill. In the sense that I've felt a bit under the weather for a few days. I've been a bit sniffly, I've been ill, I've had my glands come up, but then I haven't got that disease, and I'd rather feel a bit rough for a few days. Yeah. I'm fully vaccinated. I assume you are. My kids are. None of us have autism.
I don't think
so. No. Right. Okay. So, on top of that, the NHS does not support homeopathy. And I'm not sure where the NHS fully stands on the anti-vax stance, but I know that they want people to be vaccinated.
I'm more of an animal man. NHS.
Yeah, I know we're flipping it into the human world, but I know there are some doctor surgeries out there that will refuse patients that are not vaccinated. And personally, I think that's quite sensible, because they don't want to put their other patients at risk. Because if we go back to the vaccine thing, it's all about herd immunity. There are some people out there that can't take certain vaccines, whether it's because they're allergic to some of the compounds within it, or it's because they have an already weakened immune system. For example, they have cancer or something like that. So they cannot take these things, so they rely on everyone else around them being immunised. And again, vaccines aren't 100%.
No.
They're probably about 99% effective in most areas.
Nothing is 100% effective.
No. It's the same thing though. Look at a condom. It's 98% effective against disease and pregnancy. Yes. But you'd still rather 98% to nothing. You find this girl, she's absolutely beautiful. You don't know about her history, and you get a bit busy and. Yeah, I'll take 98% over 0%.
Well, yeah. Probably not zero. There's always it's not 100% she's going to get...
Well, no. But if she had a certain condition and there was tearing and all of that, in the grand scheme of things, it's better to be 98% protected over pretty much nothing.
Of course. Yes.
So vaccines are about 99% effective. Some of them more than others. Some of them have limited time. Some you have to renew every 5 years or 10 years. Some of them, like the flu jab, they want you to do every year, but that's because a different strain comes out and it evolves.
That's very true. Yes.
Viruses and bacteria and all of that, they do. So, with the ongoing research vets do, and into all the medicine, the science, the technology, every single part of it, you have to stay on top of your game. You have to know as much as you can to service these animals the best you can. And then you've got these people coming in telling you, no, my dog shouldn't have this. He should have this bit of Berlin wool diluted.
Not had that one.
Realistically, if the NHS doesn't support it for humans, should vets support it for animals?
In my opinion, no.
No.
And there is a petition at the moment which has been signed by thousands of vets.
Can this only be signed by vets?
Yes, it is. It's a specific veterinary one to the Royal College of Veterinary Surgeons to ban homeopathy. And there's been a big petition which I think has been declined. And,
really?
Yep. And I think the RCVS, the Royal College of Veterinary Surgeons, are still allowing vets to practice homeopathy.
That's ridiculous. And what about vaccinations? Is there any legal requirement over vaccinations in your animals?
No, it's purely up to the owner with regards to vaccinations. There's no legal requirement there at all. But there's no legal requirement in humans. Is there a legal requirement in humans? No,
in general there isn't. There are certain places in the world where I do believe they're trying to get that enforced. Yeah. And personally, I feel that we should do what is best for the whole. And I've looked at quite a lot into vaccines and all the arguments against them. There was a brief time where I was almost convinced of the other side of it. I looked into it and, I thought off the bat, wow, and I was so scared of it. Yeah. There was so much misinformation out there that I bought into the bullshit. And then I looked into it, and the arguments against vaccinations, they kept changing, and there being this and that and whatever. And the second I had put an answer for something with someone, they were suddenly like, "Oh, well, there's this other thing," and then you realise that there were people just who didn't understand the science. In fact, a lot of the people who are anti-vaxxers who go, "Oh, you should speak to my friend. They understand the science."
Or they've got a meme which explains everything. A meme which explains everything. But you've got to. Not everyone has got scientific knowledge.
But in the age of the internet, ignorance is a choice.
Oh. You need to research and understand what vaccines do before you have an argument.
And you need those .edu links and those .gov links and all those ones where you can tell that it's a peer-reviewed journal, not some bullshit that is going on about how, chocolate.
My friend had a reaction, therefore we should never have a vaccine. And you want evidence-based medicine is what you want.
And do you know what? Some people do have bad reactions. I think with the MMR vaccine, there is a 1 in 2,500 chance of someone having a fit. Now that fit might not lead to anything else, it's just a fit. But there is that 1 in 2,500 chance. But there's probably, if you're not vaccinated, probably 1 in 5 people, I think it was, die of measles if they're not vaccinated. I'm not sure if that's the actual figure. I will definitely double check on that one. But it's ridiculous. There are so many complications that can happen from these preventable diseases. And the fact that you're not taking that precaution, and even if it's yourself, well, my family are okay, we have a good life, we have good insurance, if anything happens we do okay, but what about that person that you take that bus with that is poor and can't afford that insurance, they can't afford the medicine, they're not going to get as well looked after, you've happened to carry this bug and give it to them, okay, you're fine because you're really well off and you can deal with it like that, but you've suddenly killed that person effectively.
Completely ignorance.
And it's selfishness. I think that not getting vaccinated is completely selfish.
I suppose it's it's seen as the fad nowadays, isn't it? People look online and think, don't do this, don't do that. They join that fad. Same with homeopathy and celebrities as well.
Yeah.
They get into all this stuff and then everyone copies them. Prince Charles, I'm sure I mentioned this before, he uses homeopathy in his cows.
Yeah.
On his farm, he uses homeopathy and he's a strong advocate of homeopathy. And
I
what
wonder how
message
many
does
of
that
them have
send
mad
out?
cow disease.
I don't know what message that sends out, but that certainly does contribute to things as well. The celebs.
Yeah, there is a lot of celebrity stuff going on. I think Jenny McCarthy is one of those things. Yeah,
That well-known scientist.
Yeah. Well, I'm pretty sure she wore a lab coat in some of her videos. But that's just it. People are trusting people who, realistically, they shouldn't trust in these matters. You know,
talk to your doctor.
Yeah.
Talk to your vets. Talk to people who have trained knowledge in this.
It's like me going to my fucking dog and asking for advice on my computer. You know?
Fair enough.
That is as much sense as you will get from some of these people who are completely anti-vax.
Yeah.
You know? And I think maybe there is an element of truth to the fact that things could be done in a better way. Maybe it could. But that's what we should focus on. Right, this is the best we've got right now. There may be a better way in the future. Let the science evolve. Don't bring the diseases back. Let's fucking sort out the situation. Let's get everybody to a point where we are fully vaccinated. The herd immunity, be it in animals or in humans, is to the point where these illnesses are gone.
Never will.
And
Never will. Unless
maybe
you make
one
it
day.
mandatory, legal requirement, you'll never get everyone to follow that advice.
Yeah.
You never will. But that's just the way we live in now.
Unless it becomes worldwide a legal regulation, and then I suppose the issue with that is the taking away people's freedom, taking away people's choice. Should we do that? But then don't we do that with certain other legal requirements? Okay, yeah, you're free to kill that person if you want to, but if you do, we're going to throw you in jail for X amount of time. Okay, you're free to not getting vaccinated, but we're going to throw you in jail with all the other unvaccinated people, and you can die of malaria.
A little bit harsh, but I get where you're coming from.
Well, it is harsh. But I almost think that we should try an experiment and get a group of the anti-vax lot who have never had vaccinations or their kids haven't got vaccinations, and you put them in a gated community where it is just them. And then you release things that they think is perfectly okay to have. And just see how they cope. And have a similar group of people who have had the vaccinations and release the same sort of conditions. And see how these two communities fare.
God, if you're a Prime Minister, man,
Yeah,
you'd be harsh.
Black Mirror hasn't got anything on me. Although I did like the bikes.
Oh, did you like those? Oh, that one, yeah.
Yeah. Get everybody on those.
But that is another topic with euthanasia. Is another topic. It being legal in the veterinary world and not legal in the human world for terminal, painful diseases where there's no.
There are places around the world where it is legal.
Yes, I know people have gone to certain countries to be euthanized. I do. But in the veterinary world, the owner can put their animal to sleep even if it's not suffering and not got animal disease. It could be behavioural reasons, but I've had some people where they've requested euthanasia for their dog. They've refused rehoming the animal because they didn't want anyone else to have their pet for a disease or a behavioural condition which potentially could be rectified. There's no guarantees on that, but they signed a form to give their consent and they can have the animal euthanized even if it's not
so
a
even
hopeless situation.
The hopeless situation. That's quite dark.
Yeah.
I mean, to be honest, I'd probably prefer the ability to do that to humans than animals. There's plenty of people
if
I
you're
think
Prime
need
Minister now, jeez. It's a whole new world. But I mean, I think euthanasia in animals is a godsend in some animals. It really is. Some animals are in agony. And if we couldn't euthanize like in humans, I mean, I've had some animals with lung cancer just fading away. In humans, they just fade away until they're nothing.
Yeah.
What sort of light is
Harsh,
that?
isn't it?
What sort of light is
It's similar with other conditions. For example, like Alzheimer's and dementia and things like
motor
that.
neuron
You
disease
know,
is one of the biggie. That's the biggie, motor neuron disease. because that is a painful condition. That is.
I mean, to be honest, if I was at a point where I was no longer me,
who makes that decision then?
Well, yeah, it would have to go on to someone else.
Would it be abused if we legalise euthanasia for certain diseases? Would it be abused by some people? You think?
I think there would have to be a certain psychological evaluation that.
It's quite subjective, isn't it?
Well, yeah. I suppose there should be a little bit more restriction on the animal front from what you've said. It should only be for things where it is decision. Yeah, but I get it. We own the animals. I mean, by that point, what's the difference between me owning my dog and me owning my kids?
True, but I mean, I can euthanize a dog if it is in a moral right for me to do it.
Yeah.
I mean, I have had occasions where I think the animal should be put to sleep. The owner vehemently declines it and has signed a form to say he's declined my advice, so I won't get in trouble. I feel sorry for the animal, but my hands are tied then. But I will make a judgment call, and if I think the animal's suffering and has no chance of recovering, unfortunately, money can come into this.
What do you think the euthanasia element with humans is, though? Is it a religious aspect, or is there something more to it?
I don't think it's a religious aspect.
No.
No.
Because obviously within certain religions like Christianity, suicide is a sin, which will send you straight to hell. Which is why Christians are against euthanasia.
Yes, and that's what, if we did legalise, I think there'd be major uproar, and it's a massive decision, isn't it?
That's why they're so against abortion as well. They believe that a second a child is conceived, it is life, even though it's basically just at the start just cells in a womb that is not conscious. It's not
nervous system.
No, exactly. It cannot feel. There is a point where that transitions over to having the said nervous system and being a little bit more aware, and awareness increases throughout the child's life. But
cool. I mean, abortion is another whole topic.
Oh, of course, and it's one that I don't think we should cover today. I mean, we're trying to stick to homeopathy and vaccines in the veterinary service. I know we're going a lot into the euthanasia side of things, which is probably diverting the topic. Perhaps we should actually come back to that another time and try and cut things off. Now, what can people do to battle homeopathy in the veterinary service?
Well, we've just tried with this petition to the Royal College, and it has failed.
But that's not people. That's vets. I'm not saying vets aren't people, obviously. Well, you're better than most people. You save animals' lives.
Oh, stop it.
Yeah. But what can we actually do? It's the same sort of thing. I'm constantly going round trying to sort things out. I wish I knew ways we could actually battle the anti-vax world. Now, within humans, it's a conspiracy theory, and the trouble with conspiracy theorists is anything you say against them means you're part of the conspiracy, and anything you say that they agree with just happens to go on it. You can have 10,000 articles, and one of them agrees with the anti-vaxxer, and all of the others doesn't, and they will go, all of the others are part of the conspiracy, and that one is the evidence that they require, even though that evidence is just someone writing in shit on a toilet wall, vaccines are bad, okay. But that could be all they need. They go, yes, see, I told you.
They're so devoted to their cause, it's going to be almost nigh impossible to change their minds.
It's any conspiracy, though. Unfortunately, it's almost a tribal nature of humans to get involved in little groups. We have to fit into a particular group. You look at politics, you've got your left, you've got your right. When actually what would probably fit is somewhere in the middle where we look at things in different lights and go, actually, yeah, we should be a little bit conservative with this, but we should be a bit more liberal with that. And let's go this here and this there. That's what we really require from these things. But you look at the whole anti-vax, you're either fully anti or you're fully pro, and that seems to be the way things go. There seems to be no way to reach anyone in any conspiracy, and if we can't reach the people directly, what other way can we get around this? How can we
really stumped me there.
Yeah. I tell you
I
what.
wish I had an answer to that one.
So do I.
I mean, it's difficult because we are scientists. That's why we've been trained in conventional medicine, and even to fathom this non-conventional way of treating diseases, it just baffles our minds. And I'm amazed that some vets who've been trained the same way I have are practicing this. It's crazy. I preach. Obviously, I have to refer some people to homeopathy sometimes because they have requested to go to homeopathy. We've got a homeopathy veterinarian in the next town from us, and I get phone calls, and they've asked from the veterinary clinic where they practice homeopathy for me to send a history of the dog over, and I have to do it. I mean, I can't just not do it. But they're back. They come back after a while. Initially, they think it works. I had a dog with skin problems, and they were rubbing crushed red ants into its paws to try and help its dermatitis. And they say, and they always come back the same thing. They come back with, it worked at the start. It really worked. It was getting better, and then it got worse, and they come back to us. So, and they're probably spent an absolute fortune on it as well. No, I really don't know if these people who are practicing homeopathy genuinely believe they're helping these animals with their knowledge, with their background, or they're actually swindling them. Are they actually just getting money? I don't know. Because if you're going into the veterinary world, you are not doing it for the money. I can put that out right there. If you think you're going to be earning a lot of money in the veterinary industry, people go into veterinary science because they want to treat animals. Full stop. Now, there are some, I can't speak for all vets, there are some vets out there who are not on the same wavelength as the majority of us. Some of them purely are in it for money. Very, very few. A lot of people think vets are money grabbers. Again, this is another topic for another time. But no, we are here to... My priority... I mean, I have a set salary. I don't earn whatever the owner pays. But priority, 100% for me, is getting the animal better.
Yep.
Okay? Second priority, obviously, we are a business. We have to earn money. If we didn't earn money, I wouldn't be able to afford my mortgage. Yada yada. It's a business. We have to earn money. All businesses want to earn more money.
Yep.
We want to earn more money, but animals come first. So, are these homeopathic vets swindling these clients, or do they genuinely believe they're helping? I don't know.
It's hard to say. I mean, I have met people who are into Wicca and crystal healing and all of that
What's
stuff.
Wicca?
Witches.
Nice.
They're into the Reiki and all of that sort of thing, and they genuinely think they are doing it. There are some that think they have casted spells on these people. They've cursed this one. They've helped this one, and you can see that they genuinely believe it. And it's the same with the anti-vax lot as well. They genuinely believe it, and it's the same with the homeopathic lot. They genuinely believe it. But these are the people on the ground. Then you've got the people that are the next level up. You've got the people like David Wolf, who I have to question. For example, he goes on his anti-vax tirade, but he also thinks that the Earth is flat.
Oh wow!
And in one conversation with him, he was going on about how it's a conspiracy because land is either being hidden in or over
Antarctica.
Yeah,
I heard about that.
Yeah. And also, not only was the Earth flat, but it was also hollow, and inside the Earth Germans and giants and all that sort of...
Germans?
Yeah, the Germans from the Second World War, Nazis, basically. They're the remaining Nazis. They went there to hide.
Oh.
And they've got a land under the Earth, and they're building a new army. There's no evidence. That's just it. And any time you try and ask him for that sort of thing, he either diverts, ignores, or insults. But my question is he someone... He's the next level up from your standard believer. He's the next one up. He's like the priest, if you will. Now, does he believe his bullshit?
I cannot understand. I think I personally think it must be for money grab.
Yeah, there is an element where he is selling his own products and things like that, and doing all these conventions and talks and things like that, where he is getting paid. But is he fully convinced? But then you go to the people like Ken Ham and Ray Comfort. They're creationists from Australia and New Zealand, but no one over there would buy their bullshit, so they went to America where everyone buys it. And I sometimes wonder, with the things that they say, do they fully believe it, or do they know that they can get the money out of the public? Again, they're at that next level up. They're the leader type person of a tribe. But are they conning people?
Yeah.
And yes, they are conning people, but are they aware they are conning people?
David Wolf is a tricky one. I really think he's conning people. I really do. He's earning a lot of money, that man. And some of the stuff he comes out with, you just cannot believe. What's octaves from the sun with chocolate?
Yeah, chocolate is an octave of sunlight. Also, gravity doesn't exist, or gravity is a toxin. He said both. He said both. And hanging upside down relieves arthritis. And animals that hang upside down don't get arthritis. Well, they do. They do. In fact, vet, right here, confirm what I've just said.
Well, I mean, I haven't done a study on this, but I imagine, yes, they do. Yeah, I mean, I think, I don't know, sometimes you talk yourself into this, you say these things so much you start to believe them, but I genuinely think he's conning people. Yeah. I do. He's earned a lot of money out of this.
So, from that, if you can look at someone like David Wolf and say he's clearly conning people, homeopathic vets, are they clearly conning people?
I've got to say yes, because their whole life they've been studying science.
Yeah.
They've been studying science. So what changed, and when did it change?
Money.
It could be money. It could be money, because more and more people.
If I could get money for giving people water, I'd be selling bottles of Evian.
Well, the word toxin loves to be thrown about, and in our vets, they always the next one thing that clients always say to me is, I want my animal to get better, but I don't want him to have too many drugs or too many toxins, or I don't want to overload his system. All of these words which have nothing phrases, they really are. And that's why these homeopathic vets are becoming more popular, because owners are looking for alternatives to conventional medicine. They hear about side effects, which are there but are rare, and immediately they want an alternative. Yeah. The word toxin bugs me. Chemicals.
Well, there are people that go on about things like drinking lemon water will reduce the toxins in your system. You're like, well, no, actually, all it will do is slightly increase them, and then your liver will take over and flush them out. If you're going with toxin, but toxin's such a vague term.
Yeah, I know someone who said they wanted some charcoal, activated charcoal, which we do sell, to relieve the toxins from their bloodstream, which is utter rubbish. We use charcoal when dogs have eaten something poisonous to flush their gastrointestinal tract. It binds toxins within the gastrointestinal tract and it comes out the other end. Nothing in the blood at all. So there is an argument for that, to use that stuff, but no, people think there's lots of things that can detoxify your blood from this and that. No.
So the short of it is, there is no evidence to homeopathy. No evidence to homeopathy. There is only placebo. Placebo does not work for animals. There are people out there who are homeopathic vets, and from what we can glean, they're probably just in it for the money, because there is a demand and they are supplying to that demand, even though there's no real evidence behind it.
No, I agree, and they really have to look themselves in the mirror if they are negating them from having conventional medicine and to the detriment of the animal's health. That is something that's really, we have to take an oath, like doctors do, not to cause intentional harm to animals, yada yada. That is getting close to that, isn't it? Is if there is an animal, I have people who have their animals have cancer and they want to see a homeopathic vet. If I was a homeopathic vet, again, it depends how vehemently you believe in this, but you'd have to look at yourself in the mirror. You really do. You really would.
It's vile in a way. If you look at it, the fact that someone would go to such lengths just to earn a buck, but then you look at politicians and you realise there are plenty of people out there like that. So the short of it is, there is no evidence. There is nothing that homeopathy does for animals. There is a mild thing that it does for humans, which is placebo, and at which point you may as well just give them sugar pills, because cheaper than the diluted stuff that they provide. Grand scheme of things, we need to find some way to prevent homeopathy in the veterinary service, in the veterinary world, and there is nothing that can be done at the moment. The vets have been overruled. We don't know what humans can do. If any of our audience out there can have a suggestion or know something that we can do, obviously we're in the UK, but we are interested in anything worldwide. We would love to know how things are where you live, whether homeopathy is as prevalent in the animal world where you live, and what has been done, what will be done, your personal experiences with it. That would also be interesting. Get back to us. You can email admin@answers-in-reason.com. You can visit us at answersinreason.com as well. And if anyone has any questions, please send them in. If you want to record a voice clip, you can. And maybe we can get Dr. Lord back for another episode later in the year.
Maybe. Thanks very much. Yeah,
it has been fantastic having you here.
I'm getting very thirsty. I might have a homeopathic lager, i.e. a pint of water with a drop of lager, maybe.
Awesome. Okay, guys, you've been listening to Answers in Reason.